Hey guys, Long Haul Larry, and I'm out here at the ADL shop, and today it is time to tear down the engine in the white truck. Going to be tearing it all the way down to the block, and then I'm going to be taking the block and the head in to a machine shop, and going to get everything all checked over, get the head rebuilt and everything, and everything goes good with the block. Then I'll start to rebuild the motor, get a brand new motor. I think that what I'm going to do is do a time lapse of the whole thing. And so I think we'll get this going and make it a little bit faster. John, you know, you need to get your own content. Stop, you know, recording me. Maybe like go drive someplace. Well, crank the music. When we get started, it's going to be a fast job. I think I'll start with the flywheel.
That light's got a hold on me. You can tell by the way I'm talking. I see they got a hold on you. I can tell by the way you've been walking. It's getting hot in my mind. It's getting hot. It's getting hot in my mind. It's getting hot. July comes and you burn out in the sun, and it's hotter than a jungle too. Praying for the winter, but it ain't much better when your feet are freezing off in your boots. It's getting hot in my mind. It's getting hot. It's getting hot in my mind. Oh, it's getting hot. Light's got a hold on me. You can tell by the holes in my pockets. So before they get a hold on you, put your money in the safe and lock it. It's getting hot in my mind. Oh, it's getting hot. It's getting hot in my mind. Yeah, it's getting hot. Take a train ride, hop out on the east side. The women there look right, but they ain't looking at you. You ain't got nothing, don't try to get on some. They don't want it even if you do. It's getting hot in my mind. It's getting hot. It's getting hot in my mind. It's getting hot. That light's got a hold on me. I'm hurting, man, I'm bleeding. New York City is the place to be. If a hard time you've been needing. It's getting hot in my mind. Oh, it's getting hot. It's getting hot in my mind.
Well, guys, I had to take a little break. I had to put some ice on my back. Stupid stink bugs. So yeah, I'm gonna get back onto it. Start popping pistons, and I'll be doing liners, and then I'm gonna do the back bell housing, all the gears, and gotta do the front. So get on it. Well, guys, I'm going to stop the whole disassembly. For one thing, I don't have a liner puller. I didn't even think about it. I have one in my house. Didn't bring it. The boss does not have one. I'm going to have to make one out of some metal and stuff. It's not that difficult. I'll show it to you guys when I get done. If you ever need to do this, you can just weld up some things to do this. But we have found a big problem here. And it's not looking good for this block, I think. I don't know if you can see. I'll kind of shine my headlamp down in there. See the cross hatching? That's good. Still has cross hatching. This one is got a little bit different of a wear to it, but it's not crazy. That one's really good. Trying to show you. That one's not terrible. And number 6 isn't bad. And then you got this one. See all that on the side of there? That's the piston. And you can see it. It's all rough, and this has been riding up alongside this liner. It's got a big old groove here. And the problem is way down in here, I could feel a pretty good groove, I think, is a crack. And if that is a crack, it probably cracked the block. That's what happens. I'll show you underneath. You see this coolant? This coolant should not be here. And what it is if you look up there and you look around that liner, that is the number 5 liner, and you see the coolant coming around it, that's where it's leaking coolant into the engine. And so I got to get these liners pulled. Maybe I could physically see a crack in the block, then I won't even need to take it to a machine shop. But I mean, there is coolant in this block, yeah. There's still coolant in there, and it's just sitting there leaking like this. Could you imagine how much coolant's going in there when this thing is running? I mean, come on. So, I mean, if you look at the other liners, see, there's no coolant around there. See, no coolant, no coolant. Everything's dry. It's just right around that liner, and that's number 5. And this is where all your coolant is. And this guy had water in here, and the water has been rusting on here, on the journals, on there and stuff. It doesn't seem like the crank surface is bad, but I'll let the machine shop, finalize that. There is one other thing that quick talk about that I thought is to talk about here. This right here is where the oil cooler sits, and these leak in time. There's a gasket that's on here, and this gasket was shot. It was getting, you can see oil and coolant mixture here. That should be only coolant. And there is coolant down in here too. And that should be oil. So when I was pulling this apart, the boss was like, just put a new oil cooler in there with new gaskets and put it back together and run it. And I was like, no. That's what we did on the black truck. You just wanted to fix one simple problem, just piece it back together and go, and look what happened. You got this far, do it. Go tear it all the way down and, make sure everything's good and good. That way you're not doubling yourself. And the thing is that he has a guy that does motor work for him, does repairs for him, major stuff. He's been doing it for years for him. And this guy is just bad. He's a backcountry just mechanic. I actually had to go over there and help with them at the black truck because it has been sitting since November. It was supposed to be done in November and it has been done. So I went over and helped them with one day just to put everything back together, get this thing out of there so we can get it back. And when we started putting oil in it, I said, "Where's the filters?" And he goes, "Oh, you know, it was a motor he got out of a truck that he said was rolled over." And he goes, "Oh, the filters are probably good in there." I'm like, no. And that's what he does. He just puts used stuff into things and sees if it'll work. And I can tell you that if it would have been pulled apart and seen this, oh, that's where it's leaking. Clean it up, put a new gasket on it, runner. Wouldn't have been torn down, and then you wouldn't have found that. Trying to get my light in there. That is a big problem. Well, guys, I made my special tool. I forgot that did not have a liner puller out here, so I actually had made one from scratch. That's what this is right here. Just basically welded some metal together. A piece of threaded rod I use, just 1/2 inch. Usually on tooling, you usually use like a fine thread and stuff. And then this here base, this will go down underneath the liner. And it sits down on the bottom of the liner. Liner sits right in these grooves. Just some weld support so it doesn't bend. It has a welded nut on there. This piece here will thread down into there and you put an impact on there. And it just sits up on a block like that. And when you run the impact in it, it'll just pull the liner right up. So we pulled this here liner out. And you can see the damage. You can see the damage in the liner in there. And you can see the damage on here on the piston. So I'm thinking that it's going to have to do connecting rods. Going to have bearings in the connector rods and everything. Probably just do connecting rods. But I did pull the liner out. You know what? Before I even get farther, I forgot to do this. The other mechanic said I forgot to do this. I got to put my patent stuff on here. So we got a test stand. So we got LHL pat number. I think this is 6 on things I made. And here we go. Here's another one. There we go. 7. The other mechanic, he always changes it to LBL. I don't know. He says it's from a TV show. So it's Long Ball Larry. I don't know. I don't know. He always laughs about it. I don't know what it's about. But here I got to pull this liner out. I got to put the camera down. So I have ran my fingernail down around the block down there. I can't feel a crack. But just because I can't feel one doesn't mean it's not there. It's very small. I won't be able to feel it with my fingernail. So I'm going to be pulling the rest of the liners out, and then I will be taking this into a machine shop. This is off the front of the crank. This is a harmonic balancer. And if you ever seen those things that's inside of tires, has like a ring in there, they're called auto balancers and stuff. You mount them in there and it automatically balances tires as you drive down the road. It's kind of a similar situation, really, but kind of. There's like a gel stuff inside of here. And as it spins, it balances it out. And what it does is it balances the crank and makes the crank actually be all balanced and everything. The stuff inside of here actually can get hard and it can deteriorate over years. And what will happen is it'll become unbalanced. And when that does that, it'll start throwing out your bearings and everything in your crank. If you ever do a rebuild on an engine, always put a new one on here because these do deteriorate over years. So you always put one of these on here. This will make the engine not shake and everything. This is the balancer. So always replace this. This is something to tell you. Never do it. reluctant because he was saying that he got this rebuild. My boss said he got a rebuild kit, and it was for the black truck. And then when they tore that one apart, the head was cracked. They said the block was cracked and everything, and the guy sold him a different motor. And that came in a truck that I guess it rolled over or something. And they pulled the motor out, and I guess they sold him that. So he has the rebuild kit. And he's like, it's the same thing. It's a DD15 and everything. Well, the big major thing that I've noticed tearing it apart is these liners do not have that carbon scraper thing they call them. It's inside the liner. You guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but there's like a little ring goes in there and they call it a carbon scraper. And this one does not have it. And the boss was like, I bet you it supersedes to this, you know, now they do all that or so. I was like, I think we need to call Freightliner and give them the VIN number and say, this is the kit number we got, will this work? And a phone call was made to the Freightliner place in Wisconsin where the kit was bought, and turns out it is negative. That rebuild kit will not work in this engine. And he said it could be 2 to 3 months before you can get the right one. So that's not good news. But, you know, there's lots of possibilities of calling around and finding something somewhere. Otherwise, maybe I can just get liners and pistons and get the pieces that I need and stuff, and then get all the gaskets separate. Who knows what can be worked out. And I can start getting people on that. But I don't want to do any of that until I find out if this block is good. Because if this block isn't any good, that changes a lot of things. That will really change some things. So the first thing, find out if this block is good. If this block is good, it's like a drum set. If this block is good, hey, we're ready to roll. Then it's just a bunch of search and phone calls and everything else, and I'll figure it out. If the block is no good, I really don't know. I don't have a plan. The boss was talking to me. He's like, throw Detroit 60 series in there. I'm like, the wire harnesses will not line up. And he's like, they make a converter thing, a conversion for the wiring harness. And he showed me a picture of that. Well, I did some research on that. I found a lot of guys online have done that. They put the older Detroit 60s in the newer Freightliners, got rid of the DD15s and put the Detroit 60 series in. They are just a so much stronger engine. They last so much longer. They're more mechanical. They're not so much in sensors and computers and stuff. And that's a great idea. And there's a couple junkyards that have some of those engines. And I was thinking, well, I can get one of those engines and then rebuild it. But I did a little bit of research and found that a lot of people are having problems. They're buying the conversion thing, the converter to go from one wire harness to the Series 60 engine to make it work. And from what I understand, you also have to change the gas pedal, you got to change the brake pedal, you got to change the parking brake knob, you got to change a bunch of different stuff. You got to get them off of a truck that had a Detroit series in it, because it's all different. It's the computer, the wiring is all different. And the other thing is that people are saying you really better like wiring, because you're going to be doing a lot of it. You're going to be cutting a lot of wiring, splicing things and everything else. And guys, if you don't know me by now, I don't like wiring. So I don't know if I want to tackle that. I've read a lot of things online that people were having really bad headaches on. So I really don't know what is the plan if this block is bad. I cannot feel any cracks, but just because I can't feel anything with my fingernails doesn't mean it's there. It could be too small. So all I can do is send it in and get word back on what they say. And if they say, yep, we're good, we're salvageable, then we're moving forward. If not, I don't know. I'll figure it out from that point. So I'm gonna let you guys go. That's a complete teardown, pretty much why I got to pull the crank. It's nothing. Flip the motor over, and just pull all the bolts out and pull the crank straight out. It's very simple. I think I'm just gonna do it quick and get it done with. When I put it back together, you guys will see me put it together. So that's all I got to be doing. So it's a basic block right here. If you look at how big this semi is, really the actual engine isn't that big when you tear it all down. So all the stuff gets bolted on, huh? So I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they're watching this here video. And if you are not, well, you certainly try that all over again tomorrow. I'll catch you guys later. See ya. I thought, you know what? Kind of shortening it. I'm not showing it completely apart. So pull the crank up. See what you want. That's a pretty good test for a Harbor Freight 1/2-inch breaker buck. I broke my 3/4 inch one. That the boss has a shop. Holy, that's enough.